So I know when it comes to running Facebook ads for your e-commerce store, there's a ton of different terms that you may be unfamiliar with, especially if you're just starting out. Obviously, there's a lot of important KPIs, metrics, and data points that you have to know, such as CPM, CPC, CTR, and the list goes on and on and on. However, in this video, I'm going to be talking about one term and one term only.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
And that is ROAS, which stands for Return on Ad Spend. ROAS is super important to know no matter where you are within your Facebook ads campaign journey. Whether you're just testing a product and launching your first campaign, or whether you're scaling to over $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 days, ROAS, and especially break-even point ROAS, which is your BEP ROAS, is super important. In this video, not only are we going to be covering ROAS and why it is so important, what actually ROAS really is, but more importantly, we're going to be taking a deeper dive and covering your BEP ROAS, which stands for break-even point ROAS. I see tons of beginners make this mistake over and over again, where they actually miscalculate their break-even point ROAS or even fail to know what their ROAS in general should be. This leads to a lot of people misspending on Facebook and keep on dumping money into the platform without getting any sufficient return. What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy Yash. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. If you guys are new, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel with that post notification bell turned on so you guys are updated with all recent videos. And while you're at it, guys, make sure you drop a huge like on this video. Go down below and absolutely smash that like button so this video can help and reach as many people in the space as much as possible. In just a second, we're going to be taking a look into my computer where I can actually give you a real life example in terms of ROAS and break-even point ROAS. This is by far one of the most important metrics on Facebook over all the other metrics and KPIs. Trust me when I say this. I want to make sure no matter where you are within your Facebook ads journey, you guys are aware of this metric. You guys actually know how to calculate it. That way you guys can make gauged and guided decisions, and more importantly, smart decisions when it comes to managing and budgeting your campaigns. I want to keep this video as short and informational and to the point as possible for you guys. If you guys enjoy these types of short but informational videos, definitely leave it in the comments below. And without any further ado, let's jump into my computer and dive a little bit deeper into ROAS and break-even point ROAS. Awesome, guys. So first and foremost, we're going to be covering website purchase ROAS, or just ROAS in general. And by definition, it means the total return on ad spend, ROAS, from website purchases, right? So essentially, how much money are you getting spit back to you for every dollar or the amount of money that you're actually putting into Facebook ads? Essentially, this is based on the value of all conversions recorded by the Facebook pixel on your website and attributed to ads. While there's no right or wrong answer, a common ROAS, or return on ad spend benchmark, is a 4-to-1 ratio, meaning $4 in revenue to $1 in ad spend, meaning for every dollar you are spending, you're earning $4 back in return. Now, I know as a whole, a lot of industries and spaces actually use Facebook ads. So a 4 ROAS is actually really good. This video, we're going to be specifically diving into a good ROAS for your e-commerce dropshipping store, as this is what this channel is primarily about. If you guys already have not noticed, e-commerce dropshipping and digital marketing in specific. So yes, again, 4-to-1 is an awesome ROAS. A 4 ROAS is really good. The higher the ROAS, the better it is. However, we're going to be diving into some more realistic expectations and scenarios when it comes to e-commerce dropshipping. Just hang on tight. Moving forward, what is a good ROAS? There is no single good ROAS. A lot of people say a 2, a 3, a 4, or 5 is a good ROAS. However, a good ROAS can really vary by the type of campaign, the amount of money you're spending, more so the industry or even what your end marketing goal is. There are even some cases where lower ROAS might not be a bad thing. However, in general, according to Facebook, what they have seen across their advertising platform is that a 4-to-1 or a 4.0 ROAS or higher does indicate a successful campaign. Like mentioned in the previous slide, we are mainly going to be talking about e-commerce dropshipping when it comes to ROAS. However, even though Facebook says a 4-to-1 or 4 ROAS is great or deems a successful campaign, that does not always hold true. Like I said, it does really vary by campaign, industry, and marketing goals. And more than likely, e-commerce dropshippers are selling products and not services. And most of our campaign types are conversion campaigns with our ad sets actually optimized for purchase, because that is the actual end goal. All in all, this is just what Facebook is saying from all the industries on average that are using Facebook ads to market their services and products. However, because we are actually selling physical products in a dropshipping business model, I'm going to be actually giving you some real life examples in terms of how to deem between a good ROAS and a bad ROAS. More than that, a good break-even point ROAS, a bad break-even point ROAS, and how to make proper guided decisions from those metrics. Let's take a dive into how to calculate ROAS and what it really is made up of. And like I said, we're going to end this video out with me actually giving you guys a real life concrete example so you can apply this information to your own businesses. Ideally, what ROAS or return on ad spend is that it is the total campaign revenue, the actual money that campaign made you, divided by the total campaign cost. So how much you actually spent on Facebook ads. That is what makes up ROAS on the surface. This is more of a deeper and concrete formula. So it says ROAS equals amount gained from ads, which means the actual revenue, like we saw from previous slides, divided by the amount spent on ads times 100. Because ROAS can be expressed or measured as a percentage, that is the reason why we are timesing it by 100. Again, don't get too confused. Amount gained from ads, all it basically means is the revenue generated from the set of ad sets / campaigns, just the ads in general, in a collective view, and the amount spent on ads only basically means the direct number of money or amount of money that you are actually spending on advertising. So now that we know a little bit more about ROAS, what it is and how to calculate it, what is your break-even point ROAS or BEP ROAS in short form? Now guys, don't get confused. To explain it in layman's terms, that break-even point ROAS still stays the same. But your break-even is basically what ROAS do you need to know that you're profitable, you're negative, or that you're just breaking even. So that is actually the threshold or the middle line that you have to meet to at least break even. Break-even point ROAS essentially indicates the return on investment that you need to obtain with advertising campaigns in order to cover your costs, and which, once exceeded, allows you to generate profit, right? The formula is very, very straightforward. 1 divided by percentage of your profit margin. So that percentage is what your actual profit margin is on your product after all expenses. As promised, let me show you guys a real life example in terms of how this can all be applicable on your own store, how to really find out what your break-even point ROAS is, so you guys should know when to scale back, when to cut back, or even when to scale up. Of course, it is very, very important to know, so definitely pay attention to the next slide. Know what results your ROAS, your return on ad spend, and your BEP, break-even point. To show you guys a real quick and simple example, let's say you're sourcing a product on AliExpress or from your supplier, and that cost you $5. Now let's say to ship that product out by ePacket. I know ePacket is dead right now at the time of you guys watching this video because of what's going on with the logistics and shipping information all over the world. But let's say in general, it's costing you $1 to ship that product out. That means our total cost price for the product is $6. You're following? The product price, which is $5, and the shipping fee, which is $1. So per product or per unit, it is costing you $6. That is your expense for one individual product. Let's say your selling price for that product is $24.99, which is a 3x markup, which is absolutely amazing when it comes to drop shipping. Your break-even point is basically your gross profit, which means your revenue minus your cost of goods sold. And that means your break-even point is your selling price minus your cost price minus your shipping fee. So that would be your selling price, which is $24.99, minus the cost price, which is $5, minus the shipping fee. So in this case, our break-even point would be $24.99 or $25 if you want to round that up, minus $5 minus $1, which results to $18.99. And if we round that up, that is about $19, which means it results in a break-even point of $19. Essentially, this means if you spend $5 on ads to get a sale, which is your cost per purchase, which also results in your ROAS, or your cost per acquisition, how much you're actually spending to get a sale or obtain a customer, you profit $5. If you spend $20 on an ad and to get a sale, that means you are losing $1 and you are unprofitable. So in terms of ROAS, this is your selling price divided by your break-even point. So that would be $24.99 or $25 divided by $19, resulting in a 1.32 break-even point ROAS. All this basically means is that you need a ROAS of 1.32 or higher to become profitable. Let me show you on how to really evaluate break-even point ROAS and how to make guided real-life decisions on your ads manager for your e-commerce store. What to do with your ad sets and campaigns and how to really overview them in terms of break-even point ROAS. So let's say we're working with the ad date range from August 10th to August 14th. So on August 10th is where you actually start running your ads, right? So 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. And the current date is August 14th in hypothetical terms. So today we are going to decide what to cut back, what to keep on, and what to scale up. We also know that our break-even point ROAS is 1.32. I'm taking that same example from the previous slide just to make things easier. So our relevant dates should be the past 3 days, which are the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. Now, since this is the 5th day of running ads, on the 12th or the 13th, you probably may have actually looked at your ads already. However, I'm just using August 14th as an example once you have your ads running for a few days, as some of you guys may already have some ads running at this point. So I just think a 5-day period is a good gauge to use as an example. Like I said, let's say it is now the 14th, and right before you're going to bed at night, you're overviewing your ads on August 14th. So what you want to do is you go to the relevant dates on August 12th to August 14th. In your ads manager, on the top right calendar, you should be actually able to set certain dates. So let's say you click August 12th to August 14th, right? The last 3 days, 1, 2, and 3. By the way, we are looking at the past 2 and 3 days because with any sort of paid marketing platform, let alone Facebook, you will come across fluctuations and inconsistencies as the ad quality traffic is changing every day. The algorithm and the machine learning is changing on a day-to-day basis. That's why you never want to make a judgment or decision in terms of scaling up or down or back simply on one day. You want to take a look in days of 2 and 3 in segments just like that. And that goes for any new campaigns and ad sets that you're actually launching. Going back, we have August 12th to 14th now selected in our calendar. So if from the 13th and 14th for one individual ad set, right now we're going ad set by ad set by ad set. So let's say for the first ad set, and obviously this rule carries over for all of the other ad sets too, but to make things simple, we're going to be looking at one ad set at a time. That's how you should be treating your ads. You always want to treat an ad set as its individual personality and its individual machine. So let's say from the 13th to 14th, our ROAS is a 1.19, which is below our break-even point ROAS. However, from the 12th to 14th in a 3-day window, our ROAS is a 2.10, which does make us profitable. In that case, guys, what you want to do is you want to leave the ad set on for 24 more hours. Let's say your ad set is named Dog Lovers. You basically want to name it so it's dash 24 hours. And in that case, or in this case, you would look at it the next day, and if it's profitable or if it's above your break-even point ROAS, you would continue it and let it run. And if the next day, if it is under your break-even point ROAS, then you can say it is safe to kill that particular ad set. In our second case scenario, let's say from the 13th to 14th in our 2-day window, the ROAS is 1.19. In our 3-day window, the ROAS is a 0.95. That means in both of the windows or both of the time frames and periods, we are getting ROASs that are below our break-even point ROAS of 1.32. And in that case, it could be safe to say that we do want to kill this specific ad set and not waste any more ad spend towards it. In our last case scenario, and obviously this is what we're hoping for, this is what we want. We want Facebook to spit as much money back at us as much as possible. But anywho, on the 2-day window from the 13th and 14th, we see that our ROAS is a 1.90. That is above our 1.32 break-even point ROAS. And on the 3-day window from the 12th to the 14th, our ROAS is a 2.75, once again making both of the time windows profitable, the 2-day window and the 3-day window. So in this case, we would absolutely scale this specific ad set depending on the budget and type of campaign that you're working with. You can raise the budget or you can duplicate and raise the budget of that ad set as well. All in all, you want to be very smart and very particular with your data, and ROAS, guys, especially once you scale, is the most important metric that we want to absolutely take a look at. I know a lot of people just overlooking and neglecting break-even point ROAS, and they just think, oh, just because I have above a 2 ROAS or just because I have above a 1.5 ROAS, that is probably good, but that is not always the case. I remember I launched a product a few weeks ago, and my break-even point ROAS for that product was absolutely not what I expected. It was a 2.18, so it was a little bit higher than my typical ROAS. So again, just because it's above a 2 or just because it's above a 1.5, that doesn't mean, you're getting the proper profit from that specific ad set. So you always want to make sure prior from when you launch that product, what your break-even point ROAS is and what you should be really looking for and expecting. Now, I know a lot of the time some people will increase their prices a little bit on their product if a product does work after that initial 3 to 5 day testing phase. If you do also do that, you want to also recalculate your break-even point ROAS because it will be a little bit different than your original break-even point ROAS you calculated at the time of launching the product. Last but not least, just a quick note, if you are currently working with or plan to work with lookalikes, LLAs, or retargeting campaigns and ad sets, you do want to be a little bit more aggressive with them in terms of scaling back and coming up with a decision. This is because those audiences are primarily tailored to be warmer and hotter audiences. So a 2-day window in terms of judging them is completely okay as long as you're spending a decent amount of money. When it comes to interest, I am a little bit more lenient because they are still cold audiences. So I tend to look at them in both 2 and 3-day windows. Again, that's just a note and that's just my personal preference in terms of how I overlook and judge my ROAS and break-even point ROAS on different types of campaigns for my e-commerce store. I hope this was beneficial and informative. If you did learn something new today that is absolutely very crucial and important to sustain your dropshipping business through Facebook ads, feel free to leave a comment below. Speaking of comments, if you do have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, you guys can definitely leave them down below in the comments as I do reply to each and every single one of you guys. Like I said in the beginning, if you do like these short but informational and jam-packed full of value videos, then definitely comment below as well so I know to make more of these. With that being said, your boy's out, and until the next one, I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.